Hi, I'm Anna, and welcome to the Sompo Deep Cut. New Zealand is one of those regions that students think that they already understand. A single sensory shorthand of Sauvignon Blanc slicing through the glass until you start reading the landscape properly. The country stretches across 10 degrees of latitude, from 36 to 46 degrees south. And yet, almost everything about its wine identity comes not from latitude, but from the force of its light. The textbook reminds us that UV radiation here can run up to 40% higher than at similar northern latitudes, which changes everything: how skins thicken, how color develops, how aromatic precursors form, how tannins build. It's cool climate viticulture supercharged by sunlight. And so when you travel through New Zealand in your mind, it helps to think of it as a country in constant negotiation with wind, mountains, and water. Maritime influence defines the North Island, the rain shadow and alpine spine shape the south. And everywhere you pause, wine styles carry the imprint of long sunshine hours, wide day night ranges, and the delicate balance between cool temperatures and intense light. When you land in the North Island, the climate speaks first. It's maritime, humid in parts, moderated rather than cold. Auckland sits at the gateway, a region once central to the country's wine production but now transformed by urban expansion, shifting its focus to nearby Waiheke Island, where Syrah, Merlot, and Cabernet find enough warmth to ripen fully, helped by a slightly lower diurnal range than the mainland. West Auckland, home to some of the country's most historically important producers, now sources fruit from further afield because vineyard land here is simply too expensive to sustain scale. Matakana, boutique, and coastal hums quietly along in its own rhythm. Further east, Gisborne reveals itself as another region reshaped by economics. Grapes here compete with kiwi fruit and apple orchards and often lose. Yet Chardonnay thrives in this warm, sunny region with its 1,000 millimeters of rainfall, requiring vigorous canopy control and devigorating rootstocks to keep disease pressure in check. The wines range from bright, unoaked styles to full bodied, barrel fermented expressions with depth and spice. Pinot Gris, too, finds both its simple and its serious sides here, offered in dry to medium dry styles, sometimes fleshed out by lees or barrel fermentation. Even Gewürztraminer, a rare presence in the New World, has a foothold here. Move south into Hawke's Bay, and the conversation shifts. Everything here feels purposeful, structured, confident. The region's gravelly alluvial soils, the gimlet gravels most famously, store heat during the day and release it slowly through the night, safeguarding ripeness for Syrah, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Chardonnay. This is where New Zealand steps into red wine architecture. Merlot dominates the Bordeaux blends, Cabernet Sauvignon bringing structure in warmer years, and Syrah producing medium to full bodied wines with black pepper, floral lift, and elegance. Chardonnay stretches across a wide spectrum. Coastal vineyards give citrus tension, inland vineyards yield more stone fruit and often integrated oak. Hawke's Bay is a region that rewards exam answers built on soil, heat retention, and stylistic intention. Keep traveling south and you reach Wairarapa, with Martinborough as the quiet star. There is something restrained about this region. The winds that funnel through the Cook Strait toughen skins and concentrate flavors. The climate stays cool but not cold. Ripening is long and slow. Pinot Noir here is serious without shouting, structured, aromatic, fine tanned, balanced. Many wines mature a year or more in French oak, showing depth and longevity. Sauvignon Blanc expresses itself differently here too. Less exuberant than Marlborough, more textural and subtle. with some producers fermenting in older oak or using wild yeast to draw out savory complexity. When you cross Cook Strait into the South Island, the geography changes entirely. The southern Alps lift like a protective wall, blocking the westerly rains and creating a long dry rain shadow on the eastern side. Almost every meaningful vineyard area sits within that shelter. And this is where New Zealand's personality opens fully. Marlborough is the region the world thinks it knows, and yet few people appreciate how internally varied it is here. Sunshine here is intense, rain is modest at around 650 mm, and free draining soils means irrigation is essential. Machine harvesting isn't just a technical detail, it's part of Marlborough's flavor DNA, helping release thiol precursors that translate into passion fruit, grapefruit, and green capsicum on the nose. Within Marlborough, the Wairau Valley offers the broadest stylistic range, shifting from ripe tropical characters toward fresher herbal ones as you move from the inland gravels to the coastal flats. The Awatere Valley tilts cooler and windier, its Sauvignon Blanc showing piercing acidity and more pronounced herbaceous notes. And the southern valleys, with their clay rich soils and slightly warmer, later ripening profile, have become the cradle of Marlborough's most structured and expressive Pinot Noirs. Marlborough isn't a monolith, it is a three-act play written in gravel, clay, and wind. Tucked just west of Marlborough, Nelson makes quieter wines in a softer register. The climate is still sunny, some of the highest sunshine hours in the country, but rainfall is heavier and can come suddenly. Sauvignon Blanc is more restrained than Marlborough's. Pinot Noir is delicate unless grown on the clay gravel soils of the Mouter Hills, where it gains texture and depth. Chardonnay too can be excellent, showing a balance of fruit and acidity shaped by the region's maritime warmth and light. Further down the island, Canterbury begins to reveal a new dimension of structure and energy. The region lies in the Alps rain shadow, so summers are dry and bright, fungal disease pressures low, and the soils in Waipara and Waikari, a mixture of limestone, clay, and gravel, give Pinot Noir and Riesling exceptional concentration. Riesling here can be outstanding, ranging from bone dry to late harvested, often benefiting from the long autumns that allow flavors to intensify without losing acidity. And then suddenly, New Zealand becomes something else entirely. Central Otago erupts off the page, the country's only semi continental climate where rainfall drops to around 360 mm and the sun feels brighter than anywhere else. Vineyards sit above 300 meters, surrounded by lakes, mountains, and river terraces, each subregion carving out its own style. Alexandra bakes during the day and chills at night. Excuse me. I'm going to repeat that. Alexandra bakes during the day and chills at night, giving fresh aromatics and fine tannins. Gibston, the coolest and highest, ripens late and produces Pinot Noir with very high acidity and delicate red fruit. Bannockburn is warm, dry, generous. The Cromwell Basin subregions, Pisa, Lowburn, Bendigo, give riper, dark fruited expressions. Even Syrah can ripen in Bendigo in hot years. Everywhere, the wines feel sculpted by light and altitude, deeply colored, concentrated, perfumed, structured. The story closes softly in Waitaki Valley, far to the north of Otago, where limestone appears, a rarity in New Zealand. Summers are warm, autumns long, and the wines, especially Pinot Noir and aromatic whites, carry delicacy and detail, shaped by the interplay of limestone soils and a climate that stretches the ripening season into late fall. And beneath all of this, beneath the winds, the light, the soils, the UV, the diurnal ranges, sits New Zealand's business heart. A tiny domestic population, a huge export orientation, and a global reputation built overwhelmingly on one grape, Sauvignon Blanc. The industry exports about two-thirds of its production, with the USA, UK, and Australia as its three dominant markets. Around 40% of wine now travels in bulk for overseas bottling. Nearly every vineyard, 96%, is certified sustainable. And the 2017 GI system protects origin, but it doesn't dictate style, leaving producers free to innovate while still defending regional identity. New Zealand wine is a story of clarity, of fruit, of climate, of intention. It is a country where coolness and sunlight coexist, where Pinot Noir can be both ethereal and powerful, where Sauvignon Blanc can be a global calling card and still make room for restraint and texture. It is a place where the elements feel magnified, the winds sharper, the light brighter, the nights colder, the wines purer. The companion article is linked to this episode. I do thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next deep cut.